power and evil power. The legend began before time, but through the centuries, it has remained unchanged. Today, the evil lives on here.
This place hasn't changed much in a couple years, has it?
No, still as weird as ever.
That old man is weird.
Don't worry about him. He's just an asshole, okay?
I'd die for that kitten.
Okay, everybody, take one of these. These are the numbers to the bedroom doors. One lucky couple took that cabin down the road.
Yeah, sure. Fuck you guys. You're all a bunch of assholes. We're leaving in the morning. You're an asshole too, Lauren. I never liked your fucking brother either.
Yeah. Hey, I think it's time we all called it a night, huh, kid? So why don't we show the honeymoon couple to their cottage and the rest of us sleep in it?
Hey, don't ever call me a pussy.
What the hell's going on out here?
Nothing, asshole.
Oh, God, thank God. Hello, I'm up here at Camp Paradise.
Yep. Nice place.
No, you don't understand. Someone just tried to kill me. The people are already dead. I feel good because I knew that I would, girl. Hey, I feel good. So good. Hey.
Jennifer, me, honey. I'm over here by the hole.
There's some kind of giant creature out there who's chasing us.
Matthew's body was never found. I saw him burning. Nobody could live with that.
Hi, this is Adrienne King, Alice from Friday the 13th, and the Hysteria continues.
And indeed it does. Welcome back to the Hysteria Continues, episode 71. And this time we have a listener pick from Tony Hartman, who was good enough to donate towards the making of Night Before Easter. And his choice, it was Twisted Nightmare, which you just had the introduction for. So we're going to be talking about Twisted Nightmare in a little bit. We've also got a Twisted quiz coming up. So we're going to see if somebody goes, well, who goes full Inga? Will it be you, Erik?
Joseph. No,
Will it be Joseph?
It'll be Joseph.
Okay, or would it be Nathan? Who knows? We'll find out in a little bit. But I'll first things first, introduce you to my Twisted sisters. So, Nathan and Joseph, you've been up all night, haven't you?
Up all night, sleep all day. That's right.
That's it. Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah,
but with good reason. You've not been out partying, have you?
No, we've.
That
been
is a good
filming.
reason.
Well, going out partying is a good reason. No, I was up all night partying last night. So, but
oh, what a surprise!
What do you mean?
Nathan and I are very, very tired and very delirious. So this is going to be a show for the ages.
Okay. Yes. Well, why were you up all night? Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you were doing?
Yeah, we've been filming the night before Easter for the past 2 weeks now, and this last night we went in at 5:30 p.m. and didn't get done until 4 a.m. But it was a complete, it was a blast. I mean, everyone was on their A game, and we just got a lot of great footage. So we're really looking forward to showing that to people over time. So.
Excellent. And you enjoying it as well, Nathan?
Yeah. We persevered despite the setbacks we've had.
I think it's I doubt there's any film, because that's the thing is when you watch films you've got no idea what goes on behind the scenes, do you? Unless you hear like commentary tracks and stuff. But I very much doubt kind of any movie goes particularly smoothly, does it? There's always going to be obstacles. But mostly it's just been it's mostly just been issues with actors that's been our kind of primary setbacks. But I think if I had some wood to knock on right now, I do. It's kind of morning right now, morning wood. But if I had actual wood to knock on, I'd knock on it. But I think we might have had those under control now. So we're hoping that no more setbacks. So you should sort of maybe take a leaf out of Alfred Hitchcock's book and sort of terrorize your cast a little, whip them into shape.
Yeah, I like Alfred Hitchcock.
He used to play tricks on his practical jokes, didn't he, on his casts all the time, and make them cry.
I like ponies as well.
Ponies?
Huh?
He's tired.
He's tired. Okay.
I'm just messing with your mind. I'm sorry.
I'm about to say, you're not that tired.
No, I'm pretty tired, but I'm just messing with his mind. But what kind of practical jokes did old Tony play on his crew?
Okay. Oh, what kind of? I've been reading a book. It's Hitchcock and his leading ladies. I think it's right back from his earliest films, and he used to just kind of basically say people were fired and to sort of put Jack in the Boxes, all that kind of stuff, and just jump out from behind things and try and make his leading ladies cry. So I don't necessarily think that's probably the best thing to do, but that seemed to be how he got where he was. But also, actually, at the moment, at least, it sounds as if we're without the Skype issues that plagued the last podcast. So if you did listen...
Yay!
Well, here's a little flashback to last episode.
It's going to be a classic.
So we shall see whether or not we...
Good times were had by all.
Yes, if we're going to approach that level of insanity this time. Hopefully we're not. Well, hopefully we will. Who knows? Who knows what's going to come up, especially with the twisted quiz. But, Erik, how about you? What have you been up to?
Studying for the twisted quiz, which I only just learned about last night. But
you knew it was coming up?
Did I? Oh, yes. I didn't. Because you see, I'm appearing on another podcast later on today. So I've been brushing up on films for that. So I've been too busy,
traitor,
to be dealing with the Hysteria continues.
Fire him!
Yes, burn the witch.
Yes.
Gosh, Erik, you're going to defect.
Yes. I'm going to be on Cinema Dweeb's inaugural podcast dedicated to 80s dance movies.
Great. Okay.
So I finally get to talk about Dirty Dancing.
I know. I'm sure. Well, I'm sure even despite the subject matter, it'll be a fun listen.
Hey.
So what? But no, I'm looking forward to seeing that. When's that going to be out? Is that going to be out today?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Well, let us know. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's press ahead. In time-honoured tradition, shall we talk a little bit? See if you may not have actually had time to watch anything apart from 80s dance movies and working on The Night Before Easter. But Joseph, have you got anything you want to report?
Yeah, I rewatched Duel, which I love. I won't really go much into it except to say, watching it again was a lot of fun. And rewatched Jeepers Creepers, which hasn't really held up all that well for me. I still like it, but it's so nonsensical and silly. But overall, it's just okay, I guess, despite its background. One movie I did watch that was new to me was... This Is the End, the horror disaster end of the world comedy with Seth Rogen and James Franco and somebody's vibrator's on.
Justin's.
I do not have a vibrator, but I do have a new clip.
We know very well you're a member of Big Dick's gang.
Then why do you keep asking me?
Where can we find Dick?
So there you go. Sorry,
yeah, but,
Joseph. Now Eric's turned off his love pearls, or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
What?
What? No, I was saying, Joseph, carry on.
Oh, anyway.
Listen back to that and see what you said.
Anyway, This Is the End. Basically, Seth Rogen and James Franco and Jonah Hill, all those kind of... stoner comedy guys play themselves. They're going to this party at James Franco's house, and then basically the end of the world starts happening, and just all this crazy stuff happens. And I had mixed feelings going in because I'm not a big fan of stoner comedies, and I'm not much of a fan of Seth Rogen or Jonah Hill or any of those people. But I actually had a pretty good time with this. It had some really good laugh out loud moments, and I did like the some of the directions the story takes I didn't see coming, and a lot of people hate the ending, which it's a cameo from someone. I'm not going to say, but a lot of people hate the ending. But I got a good chuckle out of it. Overall, the movie's kind of silly and just over the top, and just I don't know. I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, despite not really caring much for the whole stoner comedy type stuff, it was not bad.
Well, that's one I want to watch at some point.
Yeah,
but,
it did have a gigantic, like, skyscraper-sized devil. It had a lot of monsters in it, and I like monster movies. And
okay.
So, yeah, thumbs up for me.
Excellent. Okay. Anything else?
No, I mean, I've been very busy that I barely squeezed that in, but that's it.
Okay.
We know very well you're a member of Big Dick's gang.
Then why do you keep asking me?
Where can we find Dick?
Yes, never gets old. But, okay, well, thank you, Joseph. How about you, Nathan? Have you had time to watch anything?
No, I don't have anything to report this time around.
Okay, it was understandable. Erik, how about you?
Yeah, I went to see Gravity, which is the big movie. It opened here last weekend, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm surprised it's got the critical reaction it has, because critics are falling over themselves for it. When, to me, it's and this is a compliment, it's a very mainstream multiplex movie. So I'm surprised that they're so, enthusiastic about it. It seems like it's made more for me than it is for critics, but I really enjoyed it. I thought the 3D was incredible. As Nathan, warned me in advance, he said it would be probably the best 3D film I'll have seen from the modern era, and it certainly was. Things actually do fly out of the screen for once, and I really loved it. Although the plot is very silly, and it gets more silly as it goes along. As it's like it reminded me of Ripley in the Alien series as it goes along. It's like how many misfortunes can one person endure? And that's what I felt with the characters in Gravity. It was like, oh my god, another malfunctioning spaceship stroke satellite stroke spacesuit. How many of them will they encounter in this 90-minute film? But I really did enjoy it. I don't know, have you got a chance to see it yet, Justin?
No, I'm going to go and see it on Tuesday night, I think. Yeah,
it's really good, and it's even if you're not that engaged in the plot, it's only 90 minutes. I think you'll be wowed by the visuals, if nothing else.
Okay, no, I sure. No, I've been meaning to catch it. I've just been so busy myself, but yeah, that sounds good. Anything?
Okay, and the other one I watched, it's the new Arrow Blu-ray of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1978 version by Philip Kaufman. It's one of my favorite films, and it's one of the few remakes that's actually better than the original, in my opinion. Of all the iterations of the Body Snatchers story, this one is my favorite. It stars Donald Sutherland and what's her name from Alien? Veronica Cartwright and Jeff Goldblum and that. And it's a lovely mixture of intelligent science fiction with creepy, gooey special effects and just a really creepy, sinister vibe all the way through it. And there's parts of it that remind me of the Luigi Cozzi film Contamination.
I love that movie.
Yeah, which is a compliment again in my book. And as a film I saw when I was very young, it was probably before I got into horror, I saw this on the television, and it freaked me out completely. And I mean, it still has an eerie power, even though it is, it's quite a daft in places. But I still love it. I don't know what you guys think of the 1978 version.
I really like it. I remember I had the same thing. For me, I saw it when I was quite young, and that the bit with the dog with the human face.
Yes,
which I think was. It looks a bit silly now, but at the time, it's still. I remember it being, really freaking me out.
Or the bit where Veronica Cartwright pulls. Whoop, there's Justin, your vibrator.
It's not me. I don't know who's vibrating. You sure that not your
the bit where Veronica Cartwright pulls back it? Sorry.
No, carry on.
Where she pulls back the sheet in the health spa, and there's a semi-formed clone of Jeff Goldblum that covered in sort of this cobwebby type material. That was really freaky as well, and still is, I think. And it opens its eyes. Then, one of my favorites. But I remember about 10 years ago, some friends came over and they said, "Show us something really scary and eerie that will really scare us." And I put on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and they were like, "This is so boring." So I know. Might not work for everyone.
It's that's the perennial problem, isn't it? When people say put on something really scary, it's so subjective, isn't it?
Completely, yeah. The only time that has worked for me is the original Friday the 13th. People were floored by that. But then we put on Prom Night after it, and they hated it.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Well, Prom Night can be a bit of a chore, can't it? Some of it. Unless you're really into... Well, no, unless you're really into... If you're expecting a thriller minute kind of horror movie, like a Friday 13th or something, Prom Night doesn't really do it, does it?
No.
I mean, I love Prom Night, don't get me wrong. I love all the incidentals and the disco music and all of that stuff. I love it, but it doesn't really get going as a slasher movie, does it, really, until you know...
Quite late, yeah.
Yeah. But, okay.
We're upsetting Nathan, I think.
Oh, I know. Well, let's see what the quiz brings. So, okay. Thank you, Erik. Nathan and Joseph, you got anything to say about either of Eric's recently seen?
I agree with everything he said about both of his recently seen.
Okay.
I also agree with everything.
Right. Well, okay.
There's the sound of two men who just want to go to bed.
Yes.
Together.
Erik.
No.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right, I'll just kind of rattle through some of the things I've seen recently. Love Film, which we said before is like Netflix, has been, but except you get sent DVDs through the post. They've been pumping out sort of direct-to-video or direct-to-DVD horror movies to me of late. The first one I watched was a film called The Wicked. They're all kind of recent films, and it's kind of actually quite a fun 80s throwback movie. It's not set in the 80s. It's a brand new film from last year or something, and it's kind of basically about a group of high school kids, or maybe they're a little bit older, go off to a what's famous as a witch's house, and the legend is if you throw a stone at the house from a certain distance, if you break a window, the witch will come and kill you, and basically that's exactly what happens. And there's so it's just lots of teenagers being chased around the wood by a witch. So if you imagine the Blair Witch Project, but not, it's basically you see everything. You've got a witch who is it's very supernatural, loads of special effects, but it was quite good fun. I mean, it's very generic, and I spotted this amazing twist coming. I thought, wow, this is a really clever twist. You could see it was all signalled all the way through it, and then they didn't do the twist, so it was actually as generic as, but for a time waster, it's quite it's quite entertaining.
They do the twist in Dirty Dancing.
Thank you, Erik. So you can save that for the next podcast.
Like they did last year, like they did last summer.
Yes. Yeah. But the other
I want to see that. That sounds good. It sounds kind of like Madman with throwing the rocks at the window and then he comes after. Yeah.
It's very, it's very of its time, but it's kind of like in so much all the kids, they all look like not emos, but they're all kind of, whatever the latest fad is, whatever the kids are doing these days. Not exactly gothy, no, but just kind of, basically it's looks very up to date. There's some really gory bits in it, but then some not so gory bits. So it was kind of a weird that it seems like the special effects for the blood ran out, because there's one incredibly gory throat slashing, which are kind of spurts like gallons of blood, but the rest of it isn't. And then there's the witch puts these kids through a grinder, so and then drinks their innards and their blood to rejuvenate her. But it's not perfect, but it's a fun time waster. But it does have the most annoying child in it, she's about a 10-year-old girl who doesn't stop crying the whole movie. And but anyway, watch it and let me know what you think. But
sounds like Erik during a quiz.
It does. Yes, a 10-year-old never stops crying. Erik's a girl.
Sorry.
I also caught up with ATM, which you've spoken about quite a lot on the podcast already. That finally got to the top of my rental queue, and I quite enjoyed it, but it's nothing earth-shattering. But I did like I thought it was quite clever at the end. It actually kind of went that extra mile and just did something I didn't quite expect. So that I thought that was it's okay. And the last film I saw the other night was Apartment 143. And basically it's a kind of a ghost possession, poltergeist kind of affair, and it's basically it's nothing you haven't seen before. It's a widowed father and his teenage daughter and young son are being haunted by a poltergeist, and calls in paranormal investigators who set up cameras all around the house, and all of the footage, the whole film is from those cameras and handheld cameras. So it's not like a found footage, but it's that kind of thing. But it's all shot in a quite an interesting way. It looks, in some ways, it almost looks like it's been shot on Instagram. It's got that kind of everything's slightly off. The colours are kind of slightly off, and it just gives it sort of quite a bit of atmosphere. But there's no subtlety to the film really at all. It's kind of within 5 minutes of them arriving at the house, there's pounding on the walls and things like that. So there's no chance of any subtlety, which is a shame, because I think if a little bit of subtlety to the film, it would have been a bit more successful rather than just a full out kind of haunting, things flying about, people flying through doors and things like that. The whole film, it just kind of becomes a bit repetitive. But yeah.
Yeah, I talked about that movie a little while back. I agree with you.
Actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think a lot of the performances were really good, but the movie is so over the top. There's no subtlety whatsoever. It's like they hammer everything into your skull over and over. And it's just like you kind of want them to slow down at least once or twice, but they never do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So you obviously you saw that, and I mean, we spoke about ATM, didn't we, a while back? Have you seen that yet, Erik?
No. Because you've been a bit meh about it, as the teenagers say today. I've avoided it.
I mean, it's worth seeing, isn't it? It's well made. It looks, it's kind of quite. It's got a fair bit of budget behind it, I think, and it's a very simple setup, and some of it works quite well, but it's not. It just doesn't really engage, perhaps as well as it could.
I think it looks great, and I like the idea, but the characters are so dumb. It's just, I can't get past some of the decisions they make in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
I liked it a lot better the second time I watched it.
Okay. Well, it's worth check it out, Erik, and see what you think, because it's not. Yeah. It's pretty. It looks good. It's really well shot. The idea behind it's good. It's just and I really like the ending. I thought the ending was quite clever. I didn't see that coming, but yeah.
I love how they did the opening credit sequence in that movie. I thought the way they did the opening credit sequence was really, really well done.
It was clever, wasn't it? Because it made you think. It
intercuts between this guy just going into work on a normal day, and it intercuts to just bits of the ending, but nothing too spoilerish, but just little bits and pieces of the ending are intercut with him just going into work. And this happy Christmas song playing.
Yeah, and also it's quite clever, isn't it? Because what they show at the beginning of what happens at the end, they don't cheat, but there's bits you see. It's not what you imagine. Do you know what I mean?
You think it might go one way because of it, but
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, that's our recently seen. So I think it's time, perhaps, to get back to some twisted. Yes, so this is the Twisted Quiz, and
it's like we're watching Challenge TV.
It is, I know. Erik, are you prepared to go full Inga?
I don't think I'll have to, because I'm confident I'm going to win this one.
Okay, right. Well, I was going to say the same question actually, to whether or not Nathan and Joseph have the energy to go full Inga. I think
I'm at half-mast. I'll do my best.
Yeah, Joseph's never gone full Inga, have you? I don't think.
No.
I think, Nathan, you've been close to it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But let's see. Okay, well, let's first up. We've got a couple of music rounds. I'm going to start with one of them. So, let's start with Erik. Do you want door A, B, or C?
C.
C. Okay, well, this is a short clip of music. These are all end themes from early 80s horror movies. So have a listen to this and tell me if you can work out what film this is from.
No idea. Are they slasher movies or horror movies?
They're all slasher movies, early 80s slasher movies.
Well, that sounds like kind of like a studio pick rather than a cheap straight-to-video. Would it be Eyes of a Stranger?
No, but good choice. Nathan, any ideas?
Well, my first guess was going to be Dynasty, but
it did sound like Dynasty.
Yeah.
Let's see. I guess I'll go with. Man, I really don't know what that could be. To be honest, I don't have a guess. I don't know.
Well, let's try Joseph. Any ideas?
My only guess would be House of Death.
No, it was actually Terror Train.
Oh.
Surprisingly, I didn't. And when I listened to that, I was putting these clips together, I didn't recognise it. So it's probably the hardest one on here. So,
I'm ashamed of myself for not knowing that.
Okay. Well, Joseph, do you want to pick a door A or B?
We'll go with B, please.
B. Okay. This is probably the easier one of the three.
Oh.
Okay, Joseph?
I think this is rigged.
That would be The Burning.
You are right. Correct. That's 1 point.
I didn't even know
Joseph.
that.
Didn't you?
No,
Wow.
but The Burning's not really one of the ones that I watch, I guess, as often.
Okay. I just like Rick Wakeman's score. So,
well, let's see. In that case, Nathan, let's see if you get this one. This is the last choice, and this is door number A, or letter A, I should say. So
I'm not sure. Curtains?
Not curtains, no. Erik?
Funeral Home?
Not Funeral Home. Joseph?
well, I was going to joke around and say The Incredible Hulk, but I'm actually going to say The House on Sorority Row.
No, it does sound quite similar to that, but that's actually Hell Knight. So on that high-scoring round, Joseph has 1, Erik and Nathan are tying with 0. But plenty more to come. So, who went last? Erik, you went first last time, didn't you? So, yeah. Nathan, do you want A, B, or C?
B.
B, okay. What is the alternative title for 1979's The Dark Ride?
The Dark Ride. I'm going to say, because I have absolutely no idea, Killer's Delight.
It is, indeed.
What?
How did you have no idea and come up with that?
I have no idea. I don't know if I'm delirious or what.
Psychic.
Because there's no way I could have guessed it that quickly if I was like trying to look it up. I think.
No, I know, but it's just you said you had no idea, and then you did. So no, well done. Yes, that is.
I think that I've seen it on your site, and it must have seeped into my subconscious.
Okay, well done. This round is all about alternative titles. So, Joseph, do you want A or C?
We'll go with C.
Okay. Under what title is 1979's Snapshot better known as?
Snapshot. I know this, but I just can't say it, so I'm just going to throw out Photos of Joya.
No, that's good. A good choice, but not the right one.
I know what it is. Now I know what it is. Keep going.
Erik, any ideas?
Yes, The Day After Halloween.
Indeed, it is. Well done.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Sorry. Damn it. Oh well.
Well, that everyone on level pegging at the moment, 1 point each. But Erik, this is your chance to go into the lead. Name
the pressure.
Name the working title for 1980's Friday the 13th.
Oh. What was it?
Oh, it was a script title.
Yeah, it was something to do with Camp Blood, but I don't know if it was just Camp Blood. Bad Day at Camp Blood or something like that.
I'll give you half a point for that, Eric. But for a half a point, can either Nathan or Joseph give me the correct title?
Is it Bad Night at Camp Blood?
No. Nathan?
Is it a wacky day at Camp Blood?
No. It's Long Night at Camp Blood. So, but Eric, you are in the lead. So
by half a point. Yay.
By half a point. So hold back the Ingra. You are steaming into the lead with half a point. So the next round is going to be the Giallo round. So I think let's start with Joseph. Do you want A, B, or C?
I'll go with B, please.
Okay. And name one of the stars of Paolo Cavari's 1971 Giallo, Black Belly of the Tarantula.
Oh my God.
There's quite
Have you even seen it?
Sorry.
I've seen it. I'm just going to guess Edwige Finish, since she's in everything.
No.
Damn it.
That's what I was going to say.
Well, Nathan, go on then. You have a
I have a chance. Okay. Franco Nero.
No. Eric.
I think I know. Is it Barbara Bach? Is she in that one?
She is. Yes.
Woohoo!
Barbara Bach is in that. Also, you could have Giancarlo Gianni, Claudine Auger, Barbara Boucher, and Rosella Falk. Are probably the best known names, along with Barbara Bach, in the Black Belly of the Tarantula. So, Eric, do you want A or C?
Well, C wasn't very good to me the last time, Mr. Kurzweil, so I'm going to go for A.
Okay. Who are commonly known as the king and queen of the Giallo?
Actors. Oh, is George Hilton the king and Edwige Fenech is the queen?
Absolutely, yes. Good point for Eric. And that leaves Nathan, doesn't it? I think. So with C, Serge Gainsbourg and Jane Birkin starred in which 1973 Giallo, which also featured a gorilla?
I probably haven't seen it because it's no secret that giallos are my weak point because I don't watch them that much. So they starred in Gorillas in the Mist.
No, but that's a good choice. Joseph?
1973 with a gorilla. Is it Monkey Business?
No, not a good choice. But Eric, I think you might know this.
Yes, I know the one. I just hope I get the right title because there's a few with cash in the title. Is it Seven Deaths in the Cat's Eye?
It is indeed. Yes. Well done, Eric. So another point for Eric. And with the Giallo theme continuing, don't worry, we're going to move on to some other. We're going to move on to 80s slashers and also some proto slashers shortly. But this is another music round. Who went first last time?
It's Eric's turn.
Erik. Okay. Well, these are all music from Giallo. Two of them are very, very well known, and one of them is not as well known. So choose carefully. Do you want A, B, or C?
I haven't chosen B yet, so I'll go for that one.
Okay. I think you might get this. Okay, Erik.
Yeah. Tenebrae.
Tenebrae. Indeed it is. Well done. Right.
I did not know that either.
This is what it feels like to be good at a quiz.
Well, we shall see. Okay. Joseph, do you want A or C?
Isn't it Nathan's turn?
Oh, okay. Well, Nathan.
Yeah.
A.
A. Okay. This is probably the hardest one, I'm afraid. But here we go.
They would all be hard for me.
Any ideas, Nathan?
Oh my goodness. I guess the only thing I could think of that has a kid singing is Deep Red. I don't think that's it.
Not Deep Red, no, but good choice. Joseph, any ideas?
Is it Four Flies on Grey Velvet?
No, another good choice. Erik?
Is it Don't Torture a Duckling?
No, another good choice. I'd say this is probably the most difficult one. It was The Queen in Red, Kill 7 Times, which has the beginning with the two girls playing with dolls. And who? Oh, it's
Joseph.
Joseph. Okay, this is This is C for you. Okay, Joseph. Do you know what that was from?
Yeah, but I think I'm going to get it wrong. Is it Suspiria?
Not Suspiria. No.
Oh, I knew I should have said the other title. Damn it.
How about
oh, well.
Nathan? How about you?
Hey, it's me next.
All right. Okay. It's only because you're.
Yeah, well, I want to make sure I win because I'm going to.
Oh, Erik, how ungracious.
Are you having an
of you.
Inga moment even when you're winning?
He does.
Yes, I
doesn't he?
am.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
Feel it.
Okay, Erik, go on then.
Deep Red.
It is Deep Red. Well done.
That's the other title.
Only because I gave the answer away earlier.
Flushing
That's
back
the only
and
reason you
forth.
got it.
Right.
I knew.
Well, we're moving away from
Because
Italy
I like to be goblin when I'm listening to it, if you know what I mean.
Erik. Okay. Well, we're moving away, probably to Nathan's relief, from Italy now, but we're sticking
thank
with
God.
some proto slashers. So who's going first this time?
Nathan.
Nathan. Okay. Do you want to A, B, or C?
I'll go with C this time.
C. Okay. What 1975 proto slasher features the immortal line, "You're going to love me, satiate me, fill me with nymphoid action"?
The Love Butcher.
It is indeed. Well done. I thought that was going to be a tough one to get, but that's very good. Well done. So, Erik next.
Joseph next.
Joseph, sorry. Okay. Joseph, do you want A or B?
I'll go with B, please.
Okay. What is the connection between Pete Walker's British Catholic proto-slasher, shocker, House of Mortal Sin, and Dynasty?
I have no goddamn idea.
Okay. Well, I shall throw that.
I'm just going to say they both have people in it.
Well, it's close, but not quite the right answer. So, at risk of being shouted at, whose turn is it next?
Me.
Okay, Erik.
It was Stephanie Beacham in Dynasty? Because I know
Yes.
she's in Confessional Murders, whatever it's called.
Yes, you're right. It is. Stephanie Beacham was in Pete Walker's House of Mortal Sin.
Can you believe I've never actually watched Dynasty?
Have you not?
No.
Erik.
I know.
Wow, that's
I'm
seen it like once.
a Knots Landing boy.
that's quite difficult
Yeah,
to
but
believe.
Dynasty is amazing.
I know, but it's not on anywhere, so I can't watch it.
Oh, okay.
But you still got it, so well done, Erik. And the last one is, I think it's Joseph, isn't it? Is left with A, which is exploitation star Claudia Jennings was in 2 proto slashers in the 1970s. Half a point for each, if you can tell me what they were, and also a bonus point if you can tell me how she died.
This is Eric's, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
I thought
Erik.
it was
Sorry,
mine.
Erik.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She's in 2 proto slashers. One of them
Yeah.
is Sisters of Death.
Yeah, that's half a point.
And she died in a car accident.
Yes.
I don't know. She was in 2 proto slashers in the late 70s.
Well, in the 70s, 1970s.
All right. I don't know. I don't know what the second one is, so I'm just going to say, was she proto slashers? Was she in Home for the Holidays?
No.
No.
You get a half
she
a
did
point,
die-
though, because you got one of them.
Yeah, Sisters of Death is one you meant, is it?
Yes, this is death. You got half point for that, and also you got a full point that she died in a car crash. So I'll throw that over to whoever's, because you seem to have a better handle on who's going to be next. But
The other one is The Single Girls.
indeed, it is. Yes,
Oh.
The Single Girls, which is something that Johnny Krug just covered on his podcast.
Oh.
And have you seen Single Girls?
No.
Yes.
I've never. I've had single girls.
Sorry, you haven't. Did you say? Sorry,
I haven't. Nathan has.
Oh, okay, right, okay. Sorry.
I mean, it's got that great death scene in the greenhouse that I love.
Yeah,
It's kind of it's a bizarre kind of mix between sex, sexploitation, isn't it, and slasher movie. But it's it's worth checking out. So okay, well, on the end of that round, Erik is in the lead with 9 points. Nathan has 2.5, and Joseph has 1. So the tables have turned. We have 3 more rounds. So you're going to have to tell me who's going next first.
I went first last time, so I think it's Joseph.
Joseph, yeah.
Okay, Joseph. Do you want A, B, or C? And this is 80s slasher movie questions.
I'll go with B. B, please.
Okay. You also get a chance to get a bonus point with this. So which cast member from Sex and the City was in an 80s slasher? Name them for half a point, and name the film for another.
Well, I know Kristen Davis was in Doom Asylum.
Yes, that's correct. So it's a point. And for a bonus point, how does she die?
Now that I couldn't tell you. I don't remember.
Okay. I'll throw that over to Erik.
She gets something thrust into her face. Is it machete?
No. If Nathan, do you?
It's a bone saw. Like he saws her
That's
up
correct.
with a bone saw.
Yeah, so it's a buzzsaw or a bone saw through the face. So I'll give Nathan a point for that. Erik,
you're going to give Nathan one?
I am.
Okay.
So, and I don't mind. Who knows that? So, okay, right. Oops, I think we're getting those slight Skype things coming back again. We're tempted fate when playing that clip. Yeah. But it's not too bad so far. So, okay, who's next?
Me.
Oh, you. Okay,
yeah.
What do you want, A or C?
A, please.
A, okay. Which 1985 American slasher features a character being burnt on the breast with an iron?
Being burnt on the breast with an iron. Would that be Nail Gun Massacre?
No. I'll throw that over to Joseph.
Is The Deadly Intruder?
It's not. No. Nathan, do you know this one?
Oh, that's actually what I was going to say too. I don't know it, so I'm just going to say whatever Friday the 13th sequel was out that year.
Okay, no, it was Horror House on Highway 5.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay, and we have one left. Who's last to go?
Nathan.
It's me.
Nathan, okay, all right. Although 1988's Edge of the Axe was set in California, it wasn't filmed in the United States. What country stood in for California in the film? I.e., where was it filmed?
Oh, okay. Where was this movie filmed? Okay, it was filmed in, I don't know, maybe Ireland.
No. Erik.
Well, it has a Spanish director, so I'm just going to say Spain.
No, it's a good bit of detective work, but not right. But you're getting closer. Well, in some ways. Joseph, any ideas?
Is it Mexico?
It is Mexico. Yes, well done. So yeah, Spanish speaking country. So okay, we've got 2 more rounds to go. We are back now onto Nathan's favourite subject, the giallo. So
this is where I fall back into last place.
So I'm sorry, I completely lost track of who's going. You're going to remind me who went first last time.
I think Erik goes first this time.
Okay,
yes,
Erik,
it's back to me. Yeah.
Okay, right. Do you want A, B, or C?
B this time, please.
B. Okay. Name the famous genre star not known for gialli who takes the lead in 1971's Seven Murders for Scotland Yard.
Oh, it's Paul Naschy. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Swing.
Which are kind of, you could arguably it's a Spanish film, but it's a giallo, and it pretty much, it was made at the time the giallo was really popular, and it's a giallo through and through. So yes, well done.
Thank you.
Okay, Nathan, do you want A or C?
A.
Okay. Mario Bava's trend-setting giallo, Blood and Black Lace, was set around what type of establishment?
It was like a fashion house, wasn't it?
It was indeed. Yes, well done.
I can't believe I got a giallo question right. But I do like that movie.
Excellent. Well, and Joseph, that leaves you with C. It says, which famous muscle man played the deranged psycho in Renato Pacelli's 1972 giallo Delirium?
That was me.
That was you?
I'm a famous muscle man.
Muscle Mary. So, Joseph, any ideas?
I didn't hear the movie because Eric rudely interrupted you.
Oh, Eric.
You sound like Beaker from the Muppets.
He does. Okay. I'll read it out again. It says, which famous muscle man played a deranged psycho in Renato Pacelli's 1972 giallo Delirium?
Famous muscle man. Well, the only famous muscle man I know is they're not Italian, so is it Arnold Ferrigno or Lou Schwarzenegger?
Neither of those. No. I'm going to throw that over to Nathan.
Jake Steinfeld, Body by Jake. Then he went on to do Home Sweet Home.
Yeah, you might have been a bit young in this one, but Eric, any ideas?
Was it the eye candy from Rush Week?
No. It was, in fact, actually Mickey Hargitay.
Yeah, I've heard of him, but is he a famous muscle man?
Yes, he was back in the day.
Yeah,
and for a bonus point, I'm going to throw it back to Joseph because it was his. No one got it right, but there's a bonus point. Name his famous blonde bombshell ex-wife who tragically died in 1967.
Mamie Van Doren.
No, she's very much well alive.
Is she?
Mamie Van Doren. Yeah, she's still alive and still wearing plunging necklines. Nathan, any ideas?
Sharon Tate.
No. Eric?
I'm not good on this era. Lolo Ferrari.
No. It was Jane Mansfield.
All right.
Famously died.
That was
in a car
Lola
crash.
Falato or whatever.
Lolo Ferrari. She used to be on a program called Eurotrash, and she was famous for having the world's biggest bazungas. And then she implants, I don't know, gave her blood poisoning or something. Was it?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was right. Wasn't she worried
Yikes.
didn't they explode on a plane or something was going to...
Something, weird like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
Jeez.
Right. This is the last round, and this takes us back to early 80s slashers. So Eric went first last time, so am I right in thinking Joseph next?
No, you're right. I'm thinking Nathan.
Nathan, okay. Well, Nathan...
God, you thought you'd never make it on Blankety Blank.
Well, I'm juggling lots of things here, as it were.
Well, you should put them away when you're doing the podcast.
Nathan, do you want A, B, or C?
B.
B, okay. Which 1980 slasher features a pre-fame appearance by Jennifer Jason Leigh?
Jennifer Jason Leigh. Well, I know she's in Eyes of a Stranger.
Yes, so you get a point for that. And
Do I get a point because I said Eyes of a Stranger earlier?
No, you don't. You've got enough points, Eric.
Well, then now we get a point for saying Deep Red before you guessed it.
Exactly. So
Eric,
it cancels
For
each other
once,
out.
Eric, don't you have enough points? Do you have to
No.
Inga when you're
I
winning?
need more.
Well,
I want more. I want them all.
there is a bonus question with this one as well for Nathan. For a bonus point, what condition does her character have in the movie?
She's blind.
Yes, but that's not everything, is it?
Well, she's mute, she's blind and deaf mute.
Yes, I'll give you that. She's deaf, dumb, and blind, or whatever the current.
But I mean, in her defense, I think she does kind of get some sight back at some point. But you know,
Yes, but that's how her character's introduced. So, but
Yeah, it is.
You get 2 points for that. So well done. So Eric next.
Joseph.
All right, Joseph.
Stop
Not that
juggling.
doesn't make much difference, does it, really? But, okay, Joseph, do you want A or C?
I'll go with A, please.
Okay. What 1980 slasher features the Jolly Dream toy factory?
Christmas Evil.
Yes, well done. And Erik, the last question of the quiz. Which 1980 slasher features an escaped mental patient, shocking, I know, absconding from an asylum in Cleveland?
A 1981. It's not Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, is it? I think that's 1981, but...
Yeah, it's not, no.
Oh, right.
So I'm going to throw that over to Nathan.
Don't think I know this one. Trick or Treats.
No. Joseph?
And specifically 1980.
It's a slasher movie that was released in 1980 and features an escaped mental patient absconding from an asylum in Cleveland.
Is it The World According to Garp?
No,
Howard the
close.
Duck.
It was
Anthropophagus.
no.
Bloody Moon.
No, it's actually Prom Night.
Oh, that was a tricky one. That was a
tricky. So,
Yeah, well, I told you it was a twisted quiz, and that was the last question of the quiz. And actually, well, unsurprisingly, Erik has come in with wins with 10 points. Nathan, not that far behind.
In your face, Doubters.
With 6.5 points, and Joseph with 4 points.
Yay.
So well done.
How many
everyone.
did I get?
You got 4 points.
Yay.
So, but Nathan, you see, you did pretty well on a Jello quiz, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually got one of the Jello questions right.
Exactly.
I'm excited.
But
and I want to clarify something. I do like Jello movies, but I don't rewatch them like I do 80s slashers. That's my point. It's not that I don't like them. I just don't remember them as well.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And you're tired.
And you're tired. But also, to be honest, I wouldn't do particularly well with late 80s slashers. They're not my forte. So we all have our weak spots. But Erik, you get the crown for this time.
He does. I think that Erik, did really well at this one. But, with it being primarily a Giallo quiz, I mean, Erik winning is sort of like a Major League Baseball team defeating a Little League. Since, my knowledge is not that high here.
Why does everyone want to rain on my parade?
Oh, Erik. Poor Erik.
I just wanted some Ingaism for this.
Yeah.
It's some way.
Well, maybe have to wait for
kind of very light since he won. Yeah.
But congratulations, Erik. You did really well.
Okay. Well, that was the end of the Twisted quiz for this time. But I think we're going to move on.
And the twist is that you gave Erik the answers beforehand.
No.
Wait, we've done that before. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. It was all above board, Bordeaux. But we are going to move on to our feature presentation, and again, this is a choice courtesy of Tony Hartman, who donated, very kindly donated to funds towards the making of The Night Before Easter. This is first of our listener picks. There's quite a few coming up, and we'll be working our way through them over the next 6 months, I kind of guess, won't we?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but we'll let you know what we're covering next time, and it won't be a huge surprise if you know what date is coming. But first of all, we're covering Twisted Nightmare from 1987. I looked high and low, couldn't find a trailer for this, so I'm going to introduce this with a little bit of dialogue. Sorry?
I have it here. It says, please send to Justin.
Oh, for goodness sake. No. Okay, here's some dialogue.
Just please end.
No.
Here's some dialogue from Twisted Nightmare.
Matthew's body was never found. I saw him burning. Nobody could live through that.
How did it happen?
Nobody knows for sure. But the really weird thing about it is, nothing else in the barn was burned. Only Matthew. After that, we never saw each other much. Laura spent some time in the hospital. And the rest of us just want to forget about what happened.
A group of teenagers win a trip to summer camp, a place where they had attended a few years before. However, soon after they get there, they begin to disappear one by one at the hands of a hulking killer. The survivors suspect the disappearances may be connected to the death of a handicapped teenager at the camp years before. Mayhem, nudity, and kittens ensue. Twisted Nightmare. Well, say this is a listener pick again from Tony Hartman. So thank you. It's not a film that I don't think I'd seen before. I did buy the old Dutch VHS copy of it a long time ago, and I can't remember actually watching it before. So it was. I was kind of looking forward to visiting it for the first time. My feelings were it was a bit mixed, really, to be honest. I thought it was an entertaining film in spots, but peppered with stretches of boredom and some inanity, I kind of guess. But there were some very entertaining bits. It didn't really work for me as a whole, as it were. But there was plenty to enjoy in it. I liked the the fact that it's got one of the biggest casts perhaps in a slasher movie. Lots of deaths, some of them off screen. I'll talk a little bit about the version that's out. There isn't really a version out apart from on VHS in the States. It's UK now. The Dutch copy I've got is actually a bit gorier. It's got longer death scenes in a couple of places in it, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But the other thing that I found difficult about the film was it doesn't really make a lick of sense, does it? Really, there's not. It's essentially you've got a group of kids going to a summer camp, Camp Paradise, and where they'd all been a few years before, when the brother of one of the teenagers mysteriously bursts into flames in a barn, and comes running out, burning. And then after that dreadful incident, they all go their separate ways, but they all get invited back for one last time, and then they all start dying one by one in the classic slasher movie fashion. And it's peppered with the kind of characters. It's kind of the kind of characters you might see in something like Home Sweet Home, slightly exaggerated. And I did have fun with them. My favourite character was Tack, which was played by, was it Daryl Tong, who was possibly the most modern person I've ever seen in a slasher movie. He was
great mullet though.
Great mullet. But he's a like Asian American guy, and he was just kind of big muscly guy, and his line delivery was classic in so much it had absolutely no amount of energy or emotion at all. He just says the lines as if he's reading the phone directory, and I loved him even more for that, especially like that. There's a scene where his girlfriend gets trapped in an ice house, and he says, come over to the hole. I've actually got a little sound clip here of him talking, and so you can enjoy his performance.
Want a beer? Sure thing. How long have you known Laura?
A few months. You guys all seem to know each other.
This is the first time we've been together since Laura's brother got killed.
Hello, Dad. How are you?
Laura, I just about to ask Sean if you'd be interested in doing some hunting tomorrow.
I'd love to, but I don't have my rifle with me.
Okay, I brought my whole arsenal. That'd be a great chance to shoot without someone calling the law.
Would that be okay?
Oh, yeah, it'll give Jennifer and I a chance to get reacquainted.
All right, then. Well, some hot fresh meat for dinner tomorrow.
Yes, some hot
I
fresh
love the
meat
music in the background as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really fun characters in this. I really liked there's a character who keeps on calling everyone an asshole all the way. And Dean.
Boo! Boo!
Why did you say boo?
Because he's so evil. You just want to boo him. He's like a pantomime character.
He is.
You don't like his stash?
No, or his mullet. Or his Y fronts.
I'd liked his Y fronts, actually.
You're an asshole, Eric.
Yeah, I didn't even like your brother either.
That was such a mean thing to say, isn't it? Because Laura, I think it's Laura, isn't it? The main woman, say her brother died. And one of the things I couldn't quite work out when he said he was never found, his body was never found. How exactly did Matthew, the brother, body disappear? Because if you come running out of a shed, of a big barn on fire in front of 20 teenagers, it'd be quite difficult to disappear, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Did anyone work that out?
Yep.
Yeah.
One of many problems.
One of the film's many problems. But there were lots of stuff I did like about it. It just didn't quite work as a whole. I mean, it had all of the classic. It basically, somebody had taken watched a lot of Friday the 13th movies and decided, this is what we want. We want the black couple with the guy who sings, like in all the kind of Friday the 13th movies. You always get someone singing on a black man singing on a toilet, or some of the. And so they have that kind of stereotypical couple together, and then there's a million boobs in this film as well. I think every woman in it practically has a nude scene, and which is possibly part of the reason why I couldn't actually get anyone to talk about this film. I have got some background, and I did make contact with Cleve Hall a couple of years ago to ask about this film when I was researching my book. So I've got some details from him a little bit later, but I did invite him to come on the show, but I didn't hear back from him. But if we do, then I will, we can do a little extra interview. But what he did tell me before has got some quite interesting background. But this film is, one of the many mysteries of this film is when it was actually filmed. And although it says on IMDb it's 1982, it certainly wasn't. But we'll come to that a little bit later. But Joseph, do you want to tell us what you thought of Twisted Nightmare?
Well, I hate to burst Tony Hartman's bubble, but I really did not enjoy Twisted Nightmare all that much. Now, I did like you said, I liked a lot of the characters. I like Dean because he's so over-exaggerated, and I like Tack with his wooden delivery. And I liked his death scene where he's talking to, what's her name?
Jennifer.
Yeah, and then, Matthew appears behind him and he shoves that thing through his head, and then she shoots at Matthew. I like that scene. The problem here is that this movie is so dull. I mean, it takes forever for, pretty much anything to happen. There's so many long stretches of just nothing going on, and it's all I could do just to keep from, trying to find something else to occupy my time. A lot of the scenes are backlit, to extremes. Like, you can't tell what's going on. All you can see is the lighting in the background, and everyone else looks like shadows. And so you can't tell what kind of facial expressions they have, if any. These actors are pretty wooden, so they probably don't have much anyway. But I guess I'm in agreement with Justin. There's a bit to like. I think it's got a good, a premise of people going back to a summer camp, that they went to before, but it just doesn't really exploit it that well. And I like the electric fence death scene as well, and I think the ending is kind of, it's a little out there, but I can't get into this movie. I'm going to have to give it a thumbs down, I'm afraid.
Okay, well, fair enough. Nathan, your thoughts on Twisted Nightmare? Because you're usually yeah, go ahead.
I like it.
Obviously.
Of course. And like you said, I do think it's got its flaws. I feel that there's too many characters, so it's hard to get invested in any of them. It's mainly like there's that many characters, so I'm just sitting back and saying, well, bring on the body count. I love the one girl whose hair changes, during the movie. Because, when you first see her in the vehicle, she's got like long, dark hair. And then when she gets out of the vehicle, she looks what appears to have like a blonde wig on. So, yeah, she's got the different hairstyles. So I really thought that was really funny. And, I love the, of course, this is not, I guess it's not to the credit of the filmmakers or anything, but I just love the whole like late 80s fashion and some of the hairstyles, especially the one girl's hair who gets locked in the ice where she's getting the ice. You know, she's got like a great like big hair, which I thought was awesome. But you know, of course, this has a really good body count, and I love the. There's the one scene where the couple is outside and taking it because the version I saw was cut. You know, unfortunately, I'm taking it that the killer kind of speared both of them. But it's like when they're dying, they're kind of looking at each other and they get really close, like they're about to kiss before they died. And I thought, if they kiss, I'm going to lose it because that's going to be hysterical. But unfortunately, they didn't. But I thought they were going to. But, you know, I mean, I just think that Twisted Nightmare is just kind of a fun, cheese-tastic, late 80s slasher movie. You know, I dig it. And, you know, I love the setting. Every time I saw that barn, I kept hearing in my head, "This feels good."
Absolutely.
But yeah, thumbs up.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Nathan. Oops. Here we go. Skype issues persist, but hopefully we'll persevere. Erik, what are your thoughts on Twisted Nightmare?
Well, I'd have to agree with Justin and Joseph, I'm afraid, Nathan. I would define this one as merely okay, and that would be the best I could say about it. There's two problems with the film for me. One is too many characters, as you said, and the other problem is the quality of the print. I have access to two different versions of the film, and both are just appallingly dark. So with so many characters, I just found it really hard to keep track of who is who. I watched it 3 times this week, and for the first 2 times I couldn't make out who the final girl was. Like, who is she? Which, as you say, her hair keeps somebody's hair keeps changing as well, which doesn't help at all. I mean, the only characters I could stick with for the film were Dean, who was so outrageously obnoxious, and Tack, of course, with his wooden delivery and his big muscles and his
Tack's mullet should have had its own movie.
Yeah, well, Dean has a mullet as well that you could write home about, in fairness.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if there was a better quality print, a nice brightened up Blu-ray, it might you know, improve the viewing experience for me. But I found, as you were saying, Joseph, I was just so tempted to pick up my iPad and start playing some game of Temple Run 2 or something, because I just found it really a chore to watch in places. It was just dragging, and I think to do with the quality of the print. It was just so dark. It was like watching a blank screen in places. But I mean, it does pick up in places. I mean, the last 15 minutes or so are pretty good. You know, lots of people get off in a pretty short space of time. I like what I know we're going to discuss in the behind the scenes. I like seeing the old Friday the 13th Part 3 locations again. It was, you know, nice to see them, because I when I sat down to watch this for the first time a few weeks ago, I didn't realize that was shot on the same location, and I was like, that barn looks awfully familiar. And then, you know, the space between the barn and the house, like, that's exactly where Dana Kamel was running, you know, from Jason. And of course, I eventually found out it was the same place. But I mean, the film, it's for me, because it is a typical 80s slasher movie, but for some reason it doesn't. And, you know, I'm sorry to say that, Nathan. I'm sorry to say that to our listener who is it? Mr. Hartman?
Tony Hartman.
Tony Hartman. I'm sorry, Tony. Yeah, as I said, if you can send me a nice 35mm print of it to watch, I might have nicer things to say. But as it is, I thought it was a bit dull. Although there is a character in it that reminds me of Justin once again. There seems to be one every week these times, Justin. It's the girl who, well, it's obviously Laura, who likes to get naked and light black candles and then cut herself, which sounds like something you do while listening to Bauhaus.
Oh yeah, but every evening. But I thought it's funny because you see films, don't you, where people light candles around a bath, but not many films where people light black candles and then have a shower. Because it's kind of, do you know what I mean? It's not really the ambience. You're setting an ambience in a, you know, having a bath.
It looks like she's going to have some satanic ritual. Then she just pops into the shower. Although she does cut herself then.
She does, yes. Yeah. Do we, I mean, if we're going to spoil the film, which we do, so if you haven't seen Twisted Nightmare, then, you know, skip ahead for a couple of minutes. But essentially, it turns out, and it's really not actually giving much away at all, really, because it's signposted throughout the whole film, that Laura and her dead brother are behind the murders. I don't know whether Laura actually kills anyone, but the Matthew, played by Cleve Hall, is basically has somehow come back from the dead, and become this hulking great monster with big hair. And he's always backlit, isn't he? It's like, it's this hulking monster with big hair backlit. It's like a Toya video. But anyway,
I hate you. I really hate you.
You had, but basically, it's also mumbo jumbo about. There's an old caretaker, American Indian caretaker who basically says that all his relatives were murdered on the land by the white man back in the day, and the only person to survive is his great grandfather or something, and the land is cursed. And that is the film starts with some, again, mumbo jumbo about tongue of thunderfire and all this kind of stuff, but essentially you have to piece all this together because it never explicitly says why Matthew died or how. We saw how he died, but didn't really explain why he spontaneously combusted when he walked into the barn. But then it basically he's in cahoots with his sister.
I know why.
What?
He heard a Susie song and that made him go on fire.
I like your laugh.
Thank you, Beavis.
There you go, Justin.
Oh,
Touché.
Eric, you are a card.
I am.
Something beginning with C.
People often think I'm the reincarnation of Oscar Wilde.
Do they?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
When the one girl finds the dead bodies and she's alone and runs back into the cabin to use the phone, does she call a gas station like for help? I mean,
the sheriff seems to own a gas station or something.
Okay, all right.
So I think that was
that's what it is
too. If they were going to backlight Tax Mullet, do you think they'd need an airport floodlight?
Probably.
Tax is my favorite character now. I love him.
Yeah. He was great, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So I was going to say just a couple of things other things I picked up on is why is it in slasher movies that quite a lot of movies that women go to bed wearing all their makeup? Because right at the beginning of the film, Laura wakes up and she's got all this 80s makeup plastered all over her face. It's just bizarre, isn't it? I don't think real women go to bed in the makeup, do they?
Well, in case Simon Le Bon comes in.
Oh, possibly.
Their best.
Okay. I really like the characters of Sylvia and Gus as well, who've got the parrots, and then she just goes wild about the kittens that are in the barn, which leads to her.
You're gonna love that kitten.
Yeah, I would die for that kitten, she says.
Yeah, I would die for that kitten.
And she does.
That's a great death scene, actually, because, certainly in the print I was watching, all you see is her looking shocked and then suddenly starts levitating up into the air.
I know, yeah. What's the... what other things? The other thing I noticed is nobody seems to know... Even though there's this massive cast of characters, nobody notices that anyone goes missing throughout the whole movie, do they? I don't think there's... Basically, all these people vanish and no one... those like Gus and Sylvia disappear, and in the morning, no one even mentions them, do they? So,
and why is nobody concerned about the caretaker who's pointing rifles at them all the time and being aggressive?
I know, it's bizarre, isn't it? Also, the film also does feature, it kind of borrows from Silent Night, Deadly Night, doesn't it, with the antler death scene?
Yes,
a woman impaled on antlers. So. But yes, I don't know if there's anything else to say. I mean, obviously, come on to some background in a minute.
Well, we could also say that when you were given the plot description for this movie, you said a group of teenagers, and as with all 80s slasher movies, I just think it's hilarious that these are supposed to be teenagers.
Yeah, Dean has to be at least 38.
At least, yeah.
He looks like he would have a teenager for a kid.
Yeah.
I love that scene with Dean, which we heard in the introduction, when he really bitches about sleeping on the floor, doesn't he? And then his girlfriend says, "Well, you can go and sleep in the cot over there." And then he kind of he picks the cot up in his tighty whities and then throws it across the room and shouts, "Don't call me a pussy."
Yeah.
And then Tack comes in and says, "Everything all right here?" And he says something like, just shouts "asshole" at him. So that's his, which yes, you've got to love him, haven't you? I mean, that's the way to do an annoying character, isn't it? Is to get someone who's so over the top that he becomes slightly deranged, and it becomes slightly comical. But
Speaking
yeah,
of slightly. Sorry, speaking of slightly comical, I love there's one standout that scene for me is where the sheriff gets his head pushed off rather than pulled off, or oops, that sounds rude. Oops. But then, like, his headless body accidentally shoots his ground. You know, he accidentally, which I thought was an interesting comical touch.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of, I think, because Cleve Hall did the special effects for this, I think, who also played Matthew. And it was kind of curious because some of the film was really gory, wasn't it? Like that severed head, that where the sheriff has his head pulled off. Then it's all done pretty much without a cutaway, isn't it? It's kind of, so it's a bit hokey, but it's quite convincing, isn't it? And and very graphic. Just moving on to a little bit of background. I mean, it's just going to say I watched the version that's commonly or not actually commonly available, because the film isn't really commonly available. I mean, it came out on VHS, but it's cut in so much that I've got. So I think I mentioned before, I've got the Dutch RCA Columbia Pictures VHS from back in the 80s, I can guess, and there's two death scenes along in that, at least two. One is when the character gets a pickaxe through the back of the head. That's longer. You see there's an extra couple of seconds of gore there. But the character there's one character who has his face burnt off in the sauna, which cuts away in the version that's on YouTube, and the Baby Jesus version, but in the version I've got, it goes on for about at least 20 or 30 seconds longer with him having his face burnt off. But when I say burnt off, it's not really burnt off. What you see is a kind of someone shining a torch underneath some coal, and someone blowing some cigarette smoke up through it. So it's not very graphic, but it does go on for a bit longer. But I'm kind of guessing that Nathan and Joseph, you don't have much background because you probably haven't had time to look into it, or do you have anything you want to share?
No. I just wanted to say that the title it's metaphorical, and it refers to these people are in a nightmare, and it's very twisted.
I didn't think about it that way.
No. Thank you for sharing. Erik.
Yeah, I've only got a small bit of information, Justin.
Okay.
Sorry, it was released on VHS in the UK and Ireland in 1988, and they used the R-rated print from the States as the base copy, but then trimmed another 26 seconds out of it. So if you're watching that print, you're watching an even more butchered copy. So that's all I really have. Although it was filmed on the same sets as Friday the 13th Part 3, and the issue with the date. I mean, it does say 1982 underneath the title "Twisted Nightmare" in the opening credits. But, as you say, the hair is so big, it looks more like 1985, which is when it was filmed, according to IMDb.
Yes.
And it would have given them time to watch Silent Night, Deadly Night to rip off the antler scene as well.
No, absolutely. I think it's kind of, it's easy, you know, there's no way it was filmed in 1982. It's, you know, I mean, anyone with any knowledge of 80s fashions will see that it screams mid to late 80s fashion. I think it's just basically they made a mistake. I think at the end of the film, although it's obviously like a lot of old VHS and digital copies of VHS, is that it's quite blurry. It's quite difficult to make out, but it looked like it said 1987 at the end of the credits for the copyright, which would make much more sense for it to be that. I mean, in fact, the American copyright records, the script wasn't actually wasn't recorded, given a copyright until the 4th of September 1987. So the film, basically, it couldn't have been filmed in 1982. I mean, also it makes it unlikely that it was filmed in 1985 either. But I guess there could be a potential that a script could be, registered for copyright kind of after a film had been made, but it seems a bit strange, doesn't it?
Although the date that appears underneath the title Twisted Nightmare in the opening credits is done in Roman numerals.
Yes.
So it's very easy that they just accidentally left out a V, which would have made it 1987.
I think that's basically what happened. But it's still kind of. I don't think it's 1985. It looks to me more like 1986 or 87. And as our resident 80s fashion guru, would you agree, Erik?
Well, so yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Sorry, you cut out there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I said the later the 80s went on, the bigger the mullets got. So I would say that this was definitely 86, 87. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. A little bit more background. It was originally titled, or also known as Ancient Evil. So, which obviously ties in with the whole Indian burial ground or Indian massacre ground. I'll just talk a bit about Cleve Hall. I'll just read out. It's very short. What he sent me back a couple of years ago. He says, "Yep, that's me in Twisted Nightmare. To the best of my recollection, we shot that in 86, 87. It premiered theatrically in my hometown of Jacksonville, Florida, in February of 1988, with me getting the key to the city from the mayor, bizarrely. I asked if it opened the city jail, since that's where I spent a few weekends in the early 80s while playing my punk band, Mad Love. Cops there didn't like guys with funny hair." He also said, I also saw something him talking about this, saying that when it premiered theatrically, obviously early 1988, he said that when his family went to see it, they walked out of it. So he didn't explain why they walked out of it, but I thought that was quite funny. He did his first gig. Basically, he was responsible for the special effects on Nightmares and a Damaged Brain. So he did special effects on that. He also did special effects on Terror Night, which is kind of the kind of lost until recently, the kind of lost late 80s slasher, Ghoulies and Troll. A couple of other things about the film. The director, Paul Hunt, died in 2011. Again, it's very difficult to find any information about this, because I did try and contact some of the cast and nobody got back to me. And I think partly, again, possibly for most people in this, it was their only role. Surprisingly, Tack didn't go on to do anything else.
Neither did Gene.
No.
It must have been the mullets.
It must have been the mullets. But also because of the copious nudity, that possibly why I didn't get replies, because maybe those people would now be in their, well, sort of 40s, 50s, so they possibly didn't want to revisit that. I don't know. But Charles Philip Moore wrote additional scenes for the movie. So I did kind of wonder whether or not, and this is a shame, this is why I haven't been able to answer this, but, talking about the actress whose hair changes, and I did wonder if, well, very likely, obviously it was filmed at different times, wasn't it? So it says that he wrote additional scenes. So whether or not the film, there are obviously some interesting stories behind the film, but it seems like there may have been a troubleshoot. Charles Philip Moore also went on to direct Demon Wind. Sorry? Say most of the cast didn't go on to do much, but Devon Jenkin was in Slumber Party Mega 3 in 1990. Kristen Dante, who played Nancy, she was a body double in Phantom of the Mall, which is a film we've already covered. It said the budget was about $890,000. Seems quite high to me, but I kind of guess it's fairly professionally shot, isn't it? So it could well have been. The last thing I have was that Code Red wanted to put this out on Blu-ray or DVD a couple of years ago, and the director Paul Hunt wanted them to do that, so he was very keen for his film to come out, but they couldn't find there doesn't appear to be a 35mm copy in existence anymore, where they couldn't track one down. So that was the only reason that Code Red didn't put out a copy of this. But certainly, there's obviously lots of interesting, it'd be great to get to the bottom of exactly what happened in the making of Twisted Nightmare. And also, there's obviously an uncut version, which I've got, which is certainly more uncut than the version that's available in America. There's also on the back of the cover a shot of someone screaming, covered in blood. A woman, it looks like a woman, completely covered in blood, surrounded by broken glass, which isn't in the movie. It's difficult to tell which character it is, but it's certainly not. We've all seen video boxes, haven't we? We've seen photos from other movies on them. It's something they used to do back in the 80s, didn't they? To sort of sell films which may not be quite as good as they were, hoping. So to sort of mislead people to hiring them. But yeah, I mean, I wish I could have got more on Twisted Nightmare, but I wasn't able to. So I think that's pretty much everything I've got. Is there anything else we want to say about the film before we move on to feedback?
No.
Nope.
No.
No. Okay. Well, hopefully we did. To sum it up, I think Twisted Nightmare is worth a watch. If you're a fan of 80 slashers, and if you're not, while you listen to this podcast, it's worth a watch. It's not earth shattering, but there's enough fun things in it for my mind to make it worth checking out. But it's not unanimous thumbs up from us, apart from possibly Nathan flying the flag for Twisted Nightmare. But we wouldn't expect any less, Nathan. So okay. Well, let's get on to some feedback. I will play, first of all, let's play how to get in touch with the show.
Be sure to search for and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at THC_podcast. Our voicemail is 858-233-9281. And you can email us directly at the.hysteria.continues@gmail.com.
Okay. Well, at least that time it didn't do the Skype shuffle during the
Yeah, too bad.
I've got one bit of feedback here. Has anyone else got anything?
I've got a big one.
Oh, we got a big one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Erik, do you want to go first?
Well,
hello?
Yep. Okay. Yep. I'm back again.
Okay.
This is from Cameron.
Okay.
Good day again, guys. It's been a while, so I thought I'd drop a line to say hi. Just got through the Mega Mix show, and despite the obvious technical flaws, it was still listenable, a testament to your talents. Great Halloween 4 and 5 show, although I must disagree with the overall tone that 4 was in any way inferior to Part 5. 4 had a far more consistent tone, and whilst the better moments of 5 rival 4, overall Part 4 is a better film. To answer or indeed add intrigue and further debate as to the identity of the Man in Black character from 5 and 6, I think in 6 he's revealed to be Dr. Wynn, a character from the original. He's the guy that says, "I'm not responsible, Sam," as Loomis walks to his car on his way to Haddonfield from Smith's Grove. I guess both men knew Michael was evil, and one tried to reach him directly where the other hatched a long-term plan to amass a druid cult to capture him, and then... oh, my head hurts. I think it may have been Daniel Farron's attempt to give the Man in Black an historical base in the series. I can remember seeing Halloween 4 here in Melbourne around early 89 and seeing this and Child's Play on the same day. Great memories. Halloween 5 didn't arrive on video until late 1991, and by that stage most of the film's secrets had been revealed through Fangoria and Gorezone and such. Speaking of memories, your show, amongst others, have inspired me to put together my own podcast, and I would love some advice as to the best way to gather like-minded co-hosts, as you guys seem to have them just right, as well as Skype recording. Good luck with that. Editing, etc. As you guys sound fantastic, despite living halfway around the world from each other. Yeah, this is obviously written, just before, all the Skype trouble we've been having. Anyway, if any fellow 80s film fans want to drop us a line, the email address is beforethemultiplex@gmail.com. I would love to chat with some people who might be interested. Sorry, the sentence is grammatically problematic for me here. Would be suit someone who either grew up in or has a keen interest in 80s films. So I think we can work out what that means. Anyway, just wanted to touch base and say keep up the fantastic work.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Cameron.
And that's from Cameron Parry.
Okay. Well, no, thanks, Cameron. Very excited that you're going to be starting your own podcast. I don't know if we've got any suggestions on how to find. It's kind of ours was it was organic, really, wasn't it? Because we all knew each other beforehand.
You knew myself and Joseph knew Nathan.
Yes.
That's how we got together. Yeah. Anyway, the email address, if you want to appear on his podcast, is beforethemultiplex@gmail.com. As for any recommendations on how to overcome Skype issues?
Well, do what we just did.
We always purchase How to Make Friends and Keep Them. It's 4 volumes.
I think, yeah. I mean, what the ideal scenario would be to find someone that you could do it with. in the comfort of your own home, as it were, because it'd be you wouldn't have any of these problems if you literally were just kind of recording onto a computer and you were all both in the same, you had a group of people in the same room. And I think certainly with other podcasts like Outside the Cinema and Night of the Living Cast, I think I'm right in thinking that most of them, well, I know certainly with Outside the Cinema, they've actually got like a studio with the two of them sitting there, and Night of the Living Podcast, I think they're all sat around the table. So that obviously, but for us, it's not doable, is it? I mean, we're on different continents.
Well, I'm sure there must be tons of horror film fanatics in Melbourne.
I would have thought so.
It might be doable over there.
So yes, well, good luck, Cameron. Let us know how it goes. Have we got anyone else got any feedback? I've got quite a long one. I do. Here. Okay, Nathan, do you want to go next?
Okay, I'm going to try this. Okay. Hello again, Hysteria continues. Just a quick one to thank you for the Savage Water commentary. Yesterday I cracked open the double feature DVD I received thanks to your Indiegogo incentive for the night before Easter. Like many, I had never heard of, let alone seen Savage Water until I read about the issues Vinegar Syndrome had with releasing the disc. To say I really enjoyed the film would be stretching the truth, but it does have a certain so bad it's good comedic charm that your commentary really helped to underline. You were informative about the making of the film, and I expect most people know little about it. That did it a great service, but having said that, frankly, listening to you guys lovingly take the mick out of it made me appreciate it to the point that I may even one day watch it again. I'd have to be drunk, though. Preceding Savage Water, I watched the new Blu-ray from Code Red of Just Before Dawn, a film I'd heard a little about but never got around to seeing. Wow, I should have seen this one years ago. A tremendous slasher that deserves every bit of its reputation. I was wondering if there is any chance that you would be considering covering Just Before Dawn on the show. I'd love to hear more about it. Thanks for the show, guys. And that is from Doug from slashermovieblu-ray.blogspot.co.uk.
Excellent. No, thank you, Doug. Yeah, you've not heard of the term taking the mickey or taking the mick, have you?
No.
No, it's I kind of a British term, but it's just like taking the mickey or taking the mick. It just means sort of taking the piss, or
okay, I've heard taking the piss, but I haven't heard.
Well, not really taking the piss. I think if we taking the, actually, it's probably not the right comparison, but taking the mickey, it's basically if you're making fun of something. So, but in a kind of in a kind of gentle kind of way. So that's just putting that in kind of context. But Just Before Dawn is a great movie, isn't it? It's not one we've talked about doing, but I'm sure it will come up eventually, won't it?
Oh yeah, because it's one of my favourites.
Yeah. I mean, I've interviewed Jeff Lieberman. Actually, I think he was the very first interview I did a long time ago for Hysteria Lives, and he seems to be quite prominent on Facebook and places, isn't he? So we might even be able to get an interview with him at some point. But it's interesting actually with Just Before Dawn. He doesn't think it's a slasher movie. I don't think he's quite. I don't think he's particularly, or even though he's done, he did. What's that other film he did? Which more recently,
Satan's Little Helper.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I think he's got some quite odd views about his films and how they fit in the subgenre. But yeah, no, I think that would make for an interesting podcast. So maybe one time soon. Excellent. So, Joseph? Do you have anything?
Yes, I have one here.
Okay.
It says, "Hey, Joseph, Justin, Eric, and Nathan. I hope that you are all healthy and happy. Just wanted to share some of my recently seen with you and your listeners. Had a bit of a Halloween marathon during the spooky season and checked out Halloween on Blu-ray and streamed Halloween H2O and Resurrection. The original is, of course, incomparable, and I never get bored and still get spooked. I also have a real soft spot for H2O, as Jamie Lee Curtis is, of course, fabulous and still sexy as hell, and the rest of the characters are really likable. A big hint to all directors and producers out there. People like to watch relatable and likable characters, not assholes who are just using horror so they can try and get their big break. As for Resurrection, OMG, I forgot quite how bad it was. The film itself is fun enough, but for the love of God, why is Busta Rhymes in a Halloween movie? Again, it is just lazy Hollywood producers casting crews selecting people that are in vogue and those that don't give a damn about horror. The last 5 minutes of that movie are tragic and hilarious. I also saw a new slasher called Smiley. After looking forward to this for ages, I was massively disappointed, as again, it was just a cheap production filled with really, really unlikable characters. Seriously, guys, don't waste your time on this garbage. I'd rather watch Crazy Fat Ethel. Getting away from slashers just for a second, though, I also saw Gravity in IMAX, and I have just one word, and that is wow. The film itself is thrilling, scary, tense, and touching, and the 3D has to be the best I've ever seen. This was a truly immersive experience, and I sat in the cinema just staring at the screen with my mouth open like the whole time. Steady, Erik. If you and your rabid fans and listeners fancy just a brief break from slasher heaven, do go and check this out and do see it in 3D and preferably in IMAX. A quick suggestion for a top 3, which is probably only going to appeal to the sausage fanciers and female listeners, but what the heck? It's nearly Christmas. How about a top 3, a top 3 shaggable slasher males or himbos? I call them mimbos, male bimbos, but anyway, from Seinfeld. He says, it would be good to know why your chosen characters tickle your fancy, as I know we all have different things that ring our bells. Finally, following some great quizzes in recent podcasts, my local pub is looking for new quiz team members. Joseph, Justin, and Nathan, you would fit that bill perfectly. And
this was obviously written before today's podcast.
And your outstanding horror and world knowledge would be sure to win every time. Erik, on the same note, the pub is also looking for a new glass cleaner. You put in a good word for you.
Who won today's quiz? Erik, 10 points throwful. That's who won it.
He goes on to say, of course I am only joking, Erik. You are secretly my favorite. Don't tell the others.
I take back my
I will always have a soft spot for you. Ooh. Anyway, guys, just wanted to get in early to wish you and your listeners a wonderful festive season. And don't forget to be good, otherwise Santa won't empty his sack under your Christmas tree. Speak soon, love. And can you guess who this is from?
Tosca.
Yes, Tosca Top Socks.
Tosca. Thank you, Tosca, for winding up Erik and watching him go.
I actually watched Gravity in not far from Tosca. I watched it in Burton-on-Trent.
Okay.
I was in the Midlands last weekend, yes.
Okay. Well, what do we think about that top 3 idea?
Well, Joseph doesn't have to be excluded. If we did do a top 3 like that, he could just pick, females.
Have we done?
Well, I could pick guys. I just say if I were, picking guys, I would pick these 3 or something.
You're so bi.
I'm secure in my sexuality, Erik.
Have we not done this? Have we done it before?
I'm laying naked right now.
Okay. I don't think so, because the only reason I don't think we have is because I have an idea of the people Erik would pick, and I don't remember him ever talking about them at length.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Bravo.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was.
I wouldn't put that in my mouth if I were you. Mike.
No, please, hold your hand.
So, Tosca, thank you. I've kind of lost. I forgot what you said now. Actually, there's been so much.
He said I'm brilliant.
Well, in a roundabout way.
No, yes. He said it in a very forward way.
He was teasing you, Erik. I think.
And I think he kind of wants
trying
to
get him a job
from movies.
Yes,
he's trying to get him a job as a glass cleaner. So,
well, funnily enough, He said that was a joke. The next email I have also mentions Erik and drink. So shall I go on to that? So thank you, Tosca. This is Terry from Belgium. And I think he's made a slight mistake of it says, hello, Justin, Erik, Nathan, Android, Joseph. So I think it's...
Android Joseph.
It's auto-correct, I think.
I think it is. So,
Joseph.
Yes, Android Joseph. I did not recall that much of your last podcast because I was kind of sleeping when I listened to it. So I guess I'll have to listen to it again. The Skype connection was really bad this time, and I had some difficulties to keep my attention towards the podcast. But hey, like you say, you were lucky until this time. And we're still, the podcast issues continue. He says, I had the VHS of Twisted Nightmare, but the picture quality was awful, and now my VHS does not seem to work anymore. I have to say, I really like this movie. However, it's not a good slasher film by any stretch. This movie stands more on a high body count, nudity, gore, gross dialogues, especially the moustache guy. Every time his character talks, it's an insult. So that's Dean for you. Cheap effects and cheese galore. Sometimes it's even kind of atmospheric, but it's not Halloween or Black Christmas, that's for sure. An explosion is seen at the end. The barn is blasted. It is quite rare to see an explosion in a slasher movie. This is probably due to the tiny budget for this film genre. The only explosion comes to mind is the one in Friday the 13th Part 7 at the end, by the way. I also like the weirdness Twisted Nightmare has when the heroine tries to communicate with her dead brother burnt 5 years ago. I think you were right, the set of Twisted Nightmare is the same one from Friday the 13th Part 3. To me, it's quite obvious. You said that during the Candyman or Halloween Double Bill podcast. Twisted Nightmare is one of these any slasher movies I have to buy. The director Paul Hunt reminds me of Tarantino, which is quite a comparison, which means he did almost everything in the movie in terms of production. Is surely a good thing to do, but in terms of quality, overall quality, I mean, not a good idea. I'm happy for Nathan and Joseph, who will be shooting very soon. Well, so there you go.
In about 8 hours from now.
Yeah.
Okay. Again,
tantric.
Yes, tantric. Again, I wish you luck, shooters. Oops. Here we go. The Skype, it's coming back. It's back. But anyway, I've been surprised.
Funny. I'm sorry, I do.
This is where he moves on to you, Erik. He says, I've been surprised by Erik. Don't you ever drink beers? ? Even a Guinness or Beamish or a Murphy. Whatever. No. Being a heavy drinker, I cannot understand that, especially for an Irish man. So I'm not saying if he's a heavy drinker or you're a heavy drinker.
I'm actually going to a hip hop album launch on Thursday, and there's going to be free beer, but I don't like beer, so
not any beer.
You know, I always think of Erik when I see the Family Guy episode where Peter flies into Ireland, and when the plane lands, there's like beer bottles all over the runway.
Everywhere. I know. Awful stereotypes.
I know, terrible.
Yeah. If they flew into Bristol, they'd probably be flying into a big vat of cucumber sandwiches and ginger beer.
Why would you say that?
Because they're really British.
Oh, okay.
Cucumber sandwiches.
Well, yeah. I suppose they are, but I don't think I haven't seen anyone eat a cucumber sandwich for a long time, Erik. And not in Bristol. Bristol's a bit more. It'd be cider.
I think Toya makes cucumber sandwiches down at the local Subway.
Oh, Joseph, don't whine. You know what you do too, Erik?
Yes.
You make mean comments about Toya. I think we've gone beyond that, haven't we?
Yeah, I'd like to think that you're more mature than that, Joseph. Obviously, I'm wrong.
No,
when I'm awake for a really long time, everything is funny, so I get even more immature than I already am. So sorry.
I think it's only Nathan who hasn't said anything mean about Toya this episode.
Yeah.
So well done,
I'm not sure if I ever have. Well, maybe I have a long time ago.
I think
if I do, I usually say something bad about both of them, though.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So we managed to keep up the rivalry of Toya and Susie over the last 71 episodes. So we're nothing if not consistent.
Yes. Or repetitive, one or the other.
Repetitive, yes. Well, it's the very nature of the subgenre, isn't it? And I think that we're paying homage to it in our own special way. But thank you, Terry. Hopefully that was a little less Skype remixy than the last one. So it's always good to hear from you. He kind of echoed what most of us thought about Twisted Nightmare, didn't he, really? It's interesting, he said that Paul Hunt did pretty much everything on the movie. I wish I could have found some more information about him and the movie and say one day, maybe, hopefully we will. But yeah, no, that's good to hear from you, Terry. Is that us? Are we spent? Do we have anything else in the bank?
I have nothing.
You have nothing. Okay, Erik,
I'm gonna go have
else?
a nice wet dream now. Goodbye.
Okay.
I think Erik should have a little bit of bragging rights at the end of this podcast because he won this quiz.
Yes. I am brilliant. Oh,
yes.
I'm just so sexy as well.
Erik is so hung.
I am.
He's hung like tack.
Well, yes. So how can we top that? Well, Nathan and Joseph will be shooting fairly soon, so we'll leave them to that as they unspool. But yes, Erik, do you want to tell us what we're going to be doing next time?
It's that time of year again.
It is indeed. And
yes.
So we are going to be covering Halloween 6.
Oh, you're so funny, Justin.
I know. So what are we covering?
We're up to
Erik?
Friday the 13th, the final chapter this time, which means we're one step closer to Joseph's Dream podcast, which will be coming next June.
Yay! I can't wait.
And then
we're taking a break from the listener picks, even though we've only just started them, just because there's a few significant dates in the calendar coming up.
Yes, and then we'll be
also. We are almost at our 3-year mark. It'll be in January. Just an FYI.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
I know. Who would have thought it? So we're not that far away from our 100th episode, are we? Well, we are. We're about another year.
That's away.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if we can get to that momentous time, because I know Scream Queens have just celebrated their 100th episode, and I did see somebody posted on their Facebook group, Patrick, saying that Patrick should use what Erik said about Patrick wants a hand job as his ringtone.
Oh yeah,
from your kind of your review of the new Patrick remake.
Oh right. I thought it was actually just saying get the actual audio clip from the film.
Oh, well, maybe that as well. But yes, so reaching you. So, well, thanks for listening. We're going to play out with some slightly underwhelming music from the film, but there's not really anything else to say, is there? Apart from we will see you next time with an update on the night before Easter. Keep checking the Facebook page for Night Before Easter for updates. You're going to be posting some new pics, perhaps, on there?
Yeah, behind the scenes, we got some interviews up with the cast and things of that nature. But for now, I'm going to go have a twisted nightmare of my own.
Okay, right. We'll enjoy your shoot. And see you... What?
that was timed perfectly.
Well, I don't know. It's all starting to unravel, isn't it? Yeah. So it's probably time to finish this and open a bottle of wine, I think. So see you in a couple of weeks. Hope you enjoyed the show, and hopefully next time it will be Skype.
Happened again.
Skype. Good. I can't even speak anymore. Anyway, so yeah, say goodbye to the nice people.
Goodbye to the nice people.
Bye, nice people.
Okay, right.
Assholes.
You're all a bunch of assholes.